Just off the coast of England and Wales is the beautiful Emma Isle, the Republic of Ireland, with the beautiful valleys, the amazing spacious farms with all the beautiful animals, the Cliffs of Moher, which, fun fact, was shown in The Princess Bride and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, if you're a Potter fan like myself. Or going off to the local pub for a pint of Guinness with the lads. Here is where I got the chance to live out one of my most amazing dreams, a chance to study abroad. And the city that I got to live in is one of the 5 major cities here in Ireland, Limerick. Being here is such an amazing experience, and I couldn't have picked anywhere else. So, what's one thing that comes to mind when you travel? Obviously, it's food. One thing in particular, a good old cup of joe. As I was traveling along the River Shannon, trying to feel my way out, being in a new city and all, I happened across Abbey River Coffee. Now, Abbey River Coffee, on point with their amazing coffee. And let me tell you, I had to get the ins and outs. So I had to really dig and find out what makes a good cup of coffee. The only place to do that is to ask the owners. So here we meet Aoife and Christy, co-owners of Abbey River Coffee, and they were delighted to share their experience of how to run a family-owned business.
Coffee goes in the top, in here there's a rotating drum, and underneath there's a gas. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, once that's closed, I'm going to pull the handle, I'm going to pause. Alright, so we sit just on the Abbey River that runs into the Shannon. The Abbey River just runs around Kings Island, and after months and months of trying to decide what the name of the coffee shop that we were going to put here, eventually we decided on Abbey River Coffee because we thought it was most applicable to the area, and kind of we wanted something that was kind of really into the area and spoke about the building itself and where it's at and the history behind it, so we decided to go with Abbey River Coffee. I used to work in Costa Coffee. I used to work in the Costa out in the Crescent Shopping Centre, and I loved coffee and I also loved business. So around 2017 when I left Costa, I decided that I kind of wanted to merge the two, and luckily I opened it with my partner's parents and they have a business themselves. So my love for coffee and their love for business kind of combined, and they helped me out big time, and that's where we are now. My pressure gauge just tells me how much gas I'm actually using to cook it. So when you're starting off, you want to use a high amount of gas. So I'm going to put it on 2, and as the roast goes on I want to decrease the gas in increments and hopefully cook it nice and evenly. I don't want to burn the outside, I don't want to leave the inside undercooked either. So all that's happened in the first third of the roast is the coffee beans have taken on the heat. The moisture that's in it is being evaporated slowly, and it's just it's like similar to your cooking bread. In the first maybe half you won't know much change, but all of a sudden it'll start to brown. My partner actually works here since May of last year, and her siblings as well. So it's just a really intimate place, and we all kind of know each other really well. There's no kind of like boss and employee kind of way about it. I think everyone's just on level par, and we're all trying to do the best for each other. And then it's interesting once you see each other outside the shop. It's kind of a bit strange. You're sitting around a dinner table and it's like, oh, we can actually talk about other things rather than the coffee shop. But yeah, I loved it. I think it takes away the stresses sometimes of running a business when you can just do it with a family and everyone kind of knows each other really well, and we kind of understand where you're going to be in 6 months or a year, and everyone kind of trusts each other. And trust is the biggest thing in any business, from especially someone who's employing someone else. And like, if you can trust them, that's half the battle. And you start noticing they're going from the green, which is at the minute, going towards yellow and eventually brown.
Small window here where you can see the change from green to yellow, so kind of the cinnamony colour, and then it goes to the darker brown that you associate with coffee then.
And this is our temperature here. So there's a little probe just inside the bean fast, and it's able to pick it up and translate it to this computer screen. So we look around 300 degrees Celsius and it'll start to turn that brown yellowy colour, and that's when the cooking starts. Really starts to you start getting those nice smells as well you associate with roasted coffee. But at the minute it's still very grassy and not very nice. So we have a house blend. Our house blend is currently a Brazil Colombia, and then we have 2 single origins. We have an El Salvador and we have a Colombian decaf as well, for people who can only drink the decaf. We kind of change around the house blend every so often depending on how much coffee we have. We only have a micro roastery, so it's only a 2 kg roaster. So I suppose people who don't know roasting, that's quite a small roaster. So we tend to like buy small amount of coffee at a time, not like a big roastery would get huge bulks, maybe lorries at a time, and they'd be going through that coffee. Well, we'd get like only a few bags at a time, so we'd be changing quite regularly. But at the minute it's a Brazilian Colombian, but we're always experimenting, we're always trying to improve. The moisture is being driven off at this point. It's down to about 2 or 3% from about 12 or 13, depending on what's in the green bean. So this is when the chemical reactions start happening, you start getting those nice kind of volatile organic compounds that you associate with nice smelling coffee. So as the coffee is being roasted, there's also an internal pressure being built up around 380, 390. This internal pressure gets too great for the bean. It pops similar to popcorn, and from there we put time out of developing. So we know that until it gets the first crack, it's not going to be drinkable. Every roast is a little bit different. That we're always kind of tweaking and tasting and tweaking and tasting. So I'd say our first blend that we got really well was a Brazilian Costa Rica blend, and it was really nice. People loved it, and I was trying to get more of that Costa Rica in, because that's hopefully our next house blend will probably be back to the original, because I think it was the most popular.
And regulars have kind of caught on that we have roasting going on Mondays and Tuesdays, because they're like, let's have it.
Like any other business, once you open, you don't know where you're like swimming in an ocean. You don't know what direction you're going, and all you're doing is keeping your head down and keep going. And the first couple of years were quite difficult, but not in a good way. We enjoyed every moment. We didn't put a huge amount of resources or money into marketing. We didn't really put ads in the paper. We just kind of, we're here, and we got to know like people that worked in the area. People slowly started spreading the word, and I think word of mouth was probably our biggest thing. And then as time went on, we started to get busier and busier, and you just notice it as the months went on. And then COVID hit, and COVID was quite an interesting time, I think, for everyone. From our business point of view, obviously COVID hit, and from an individual point of view, it was kind of scary, and as a business point of view, it was even scarier. But we were lucky enough, we were closed for 5 weeks, which was at the time quite stressful, and we didn't know what direction we were going to go. Luckily, we got to open up the start of May 2021, and from there it was actually our busiest couple of months. And what was a little bit crazy is, because of the size of the shop, we were able to do 1 in, 1 out. We were doing takeaway only anyway, people didn't mind even staying in queues for 20 minutes, half an hour, because they had not really much else to do. So we went from a situation where we weren't actually sure where we were going to ever open again to nearly our busiest time ever. And around that time, people kind of got to know us, and the word of mouth got out even more, kind of exponentially got busier from there. So and there's challenges with the roastery as well, and kind of making sure that we're actually serving nice coffee, and some days we don't. I'm gonna say that, to be honest, it's just some days we just don't serve the best coffee, and that's part of the learning experience. And I think our customers kind of appreciate that. They say to me some days like, okay, yesterday was better than today, or so vice versa, and I kind of take on board that kind of advice and try to improve that way. We're just coming up to what's called first crack now. The first crack usually happens with this coffee around 390, so you should be able to pick up the pops. One. Inside, especially as the first crack, it goes from quite a small, you saw the green bean is quite small, probably increase in volume by about 70-80%, if not double size. And that's partly due to the first crack. It ruptures the inside of the coffee bean and makes it a lot bigger.
Hear that crackle now?
We teamed up very early on with Bakehouse 22, and they're just a neighbour of ours. They're on Nicholas Street, so they supply croissants, danishes, sometimes they do little like tartlets and stuff like that, and really popular, especially the croissants. Then we were doing the SOS cookies during the lockdown, and that was a bit crazy. There was a big fad at the time. SOS have done really well. They actually have a place in the milk market. And there was a while there were people queuing up for half an hour just to get an SOS cookie. So we had them for a while, and then we are currently with Nash's Bakeaway. Laura Nash is her name, and she supplies really fresh, lovely brownies and chocolate biscuit cake and various things like that. So
as we go along there, we were reducing the gas and increasing the airflow. There's a lot of internal temperature going on there, so you want to make sure you don't let the roast run away from you.
We've saw like a few other coffee shops open in my time, like Rift and Habit and stuff like that, and people are starting to like just swing over from like the Costas or the Starbucks towards like the more like, you know, independent, and also like they're also quite different, and people like that a little bit different, like something that's kind of pure Limerick. And you know, at the time like now, I think it's incredibly important we support each other, and I make sure of it that I go into independent coffee shops, or you know, that's not just coffee shops by the way, independent business at all are trying to support themselves, because like, it's very unstable time for a lot of businesses, and I think, you know, we want to be supporting each other as much as we possibly can.
A lot of people think it takes like all day.
It could take anything up to 15 minutes, and then after that there's a cooling down period. So if you can imagine the beans are going to be at nearly 410 Fahrenheit, it needs to be cooled down very, very quickly, or the chemical reactions within the beans are still happening.
They're surprised that it's that short.
Start really small. I think people go into business and they dream really big, and then they try to execute big. Like for example, when we started here, like we were only renting a machine because we were not going to plan further than 1 year. Like, so ease into a business, then you don't have that anxiety of if everything goes awry, what's going to happen to all this equipment or, you know, stock, etc. Just start small, take it easy, be patient and build. And then as soon as you get to the next step, hit the next step and do it well. But don't go from step 1 to step 5 without going through 2, 3 and 4 first. And that would be my biggest tip to anyone opening a business.